I miss the desert. I miss Remy. And I miss waking up every morning wondering what implausibly famous historical figure the new day will bring to us. Bring back to us. Bring back to us. Bring back to us. Those days have come and gone. Perhaps, perhaps not. Oh my God, Germans! It's the adventures of young Indiana Jones, Oganga, the giver and taker of life. Watch along.
Oh my God, what a mouthful.
Enough thus for you?
Okay, first things first.
Yeah.
Is John Rhys Davies in this movie?
No.
Damn it.
I'm just trying. Basically, I'm capitalizing on the on the current phrase for Indiana Jones,
Right.
stirred by the upcoming release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and
Gotcha.
obviously retrofitting the original trailer for that to describe what we're about to see.
Well, you told me, ladies and gentlemen, here we are for another watch along.
Already sighing. Look at that.
When you when you told me that this was what we were watching the other day,
Yeah.
I believe I said, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
I, I
Well,
had I had no idea.
well, it's interesting because it's
I know that there was a
it's
Chronicles of Young
difficult
Indiana
enough to
Jones.
describe. It's just difficult enough to describe what kind of media this is.
Uh-huh.
Never mind the content of the actual piece itself. Um, but I can break it down for you.
All right.
Um, well, first of all, we should say welcome to the watch along for
Yes, please.
April. And as you'll see, we are doing a
Got
feature
my
length.
chest hair out.
That's right. And it'll become clear what my costume is a reference to if you're watching along on
This is
YouTube.
yeah, this is me flying blind, by the way. This is
Well,
I
I
just
mean
said
that's
we're doing something to Indiana Jones. This is what you get.
yeah, yeah, yes, and absolutely. And I knew I knew you'd go to that, and I knew this is weirdly the one place in which that costume is not appropriate.
And completely irrelevant. I knew it.
completely irrelevant, but that is not completely irrelevant to what we're going to talk about today. Um, so what we do here on the watch alongs
Yes, catch people up.
is, yeah, we have three, shall we say, idiosyncratic criteria. It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Of how we choose movies. Put that in inverted commas. It's great that we're in visual media because then I can do this.
Yes. Yes.
Because I'm going to be doing this a lot.
It's all coming
Um,
together.
of movies that uh difficult to categorize as sequels.
Yeah.
So something that we normally wouldn't cover on the main podcast feed. We release the episodes on YouTube on the release date anniversary of whatever we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
which is April 21st, for this. And we also like to pick movies that are in some way difficult to watch and you'll need our support through the viewing experience.
Yeah, some hand holding.
Some hand holding. And this,
Qualifies.
this absolutely qualifies. It hits all of those briefs. On the first, it being difficult to categorize. Essentially, this is 2 episodes of a prequel TV series, which was subsequently re-edited as a feature-length TV film.
Okay, that was my question. I know of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I wasn't like a devoted watcher, but I saw
Right.
some episodes. When you're a big Indiana Jones fan, you want to check something like that out when you're younger, but without Harrison Ford and
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would have said until this most recent movie, until without Steven Spielberg, which I'm sure thrills you. I always
No,
think
not
that.
at all. I mean, this counts upon my favorite. This franchise counts upon my
All
favorite
right.
movies.
And so, yeah, I mean, I just young Indiana Jones was never a high priority for me,
Right,
and I
right.
just did not think that the show itself was important enough to have gotten even a made for TV movie. So when you first told me that this existed, I figured it must have been, oh, I don't know, what's an equivalent? Maybe every 15 years they do a Law and Order movie kind of a thing.
Well,
And that's what I
you,
thought it
you're
was. But these are 2 episodes stitched together, is what it is. It's a
two
two-parter.
episodes stitched together. Rarely for the Young Indiana Jones episodes. These episodes are actually natural bedfellows. They were designed even in their original broadcast run for one to follow on to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Which most of these don't know. Sometimes it's not even the same actor playing young Indiana Jones from episode to episode in the TV series. But this is a Sean Patrick Flannery double bill.
Okay.
And the story is basically the show was released as 45-minute episodes with a framing narrative of a 90-year-old Indiana Jones recounting his past. And
Oh,
each
we might see
episode,
some of that soon.
no, don't think I haven't anticipated that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically what this is the early 90s as well. I think 92, 93 was the first season.
Okay.
And basically it was in a very strange format. I mean, aside from the fact that they were all kind of flashbacks from the present day Indy. You would either get child Indiana Jones,
Right.
played by Corey Chain. Is that his name? Corey.
Is there a third Corey we didn't know?
The guy who played young Nixon. He plays all the young
Young
terrible
Nixon.
people from history. Or
well,
it
you
would be
say
Sean
Corey,
Patrick
and all I
Flannery
can think of is Haim or Feldman. So
I think it's Corey Haim then. I think.
oh, okay.
I may be wrong. I should have looked this up, but he's not in this, so it doesn't matter. Or it'll be Sean Patrick Flannery as a kind of teenage 20-something Indiana Jones. So you wouldn't know which Indiana Jones you were getting from week to week, what historical period it would be set in. It also cost a hell of a lot of money to make, so it was cancelled after a season. But rather
Isn't this
than
from season 2, didn't you say?
Well, exactly. So rather than rather than cut his losses, George Lucas decided instead to re-edit the episodes that were already made as feature-length films, finding like episodes and then stitching them together.
That sounds like him.
Into 90-minute movies. And then on that basis they continue to make and release them. So they still continue to make Young Indiana Jones, but they were now making them as 90-minute TV movies
of things we'd already seen,
and then releasing the whole thing on home video and Laserdisc as 22 chapters of an ongoing story, and each one is like a 90-minute film. Each chapter is a 90-minute film. So it was their way to kind of salvage the series from cancellation, was to turn it into TV movies. But as it went on, they always knew they were making TV movies from the start. So that changed how the show was made, and they just axed the framing narrative of Old Man Indy. They just removed that from all the feature-length versions and never went back to it. But as you say, Harrison Ford is close enough in age now to Old Man Indy that we might get back to it.
Yeah.
I can add, maybe that's how Dial of Destiny is going to end, with a Godfather 3 type flash forward to the
Right.
death of Indiana Jones, and
Just
he's gonna
slumping
look,
out of his chair.
yeah, and he's gonna look just like the old man Indy from the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
That'll be great.
And then the release date, it's a little bit of a fudge because I picked the date in which these episodes were first released on home video. They
Hmm.
were also broadcast in April. One was April 1st, the other was April 8th. Um, the more important date, I think, is the year we're doing this watch along in, because you know there's an new Indiana Jones movie coming out this year.
Right.
And so partly this is to celebrate the release of that in the worst way possible, which is what we like to do here on the watch along.
Yeah. I mean, no matter how bad this new movie might be, and we don't know yet, what
Yes,
you're saying is, hey, we do have this.
we do. Well, pretty much. I mean, even aside from that, yeah, it just fits in with our ass backwards approach
Oh yeah.
to on the watch alongs. Starting covering Star Wars by starting with the Star Wars holiday
Starting with
special.
the holiday special.
Yeah, and so it's a similar project.
This is in
going on here.
kind for sure.
And then the difficult to watch aspect, I mean, you kind of alluded to, it was never a high priority to you. And I think a big part of that is that, if you, for most people coming to this from Indiana Jones proper, you're not the target audience for this. The target, I mean,
Right.
the target audience, this was made as unless you're like a child with a Jones for history. Because that's who this was aimed at. These were made as educational, historical
Well, see, now I'm starting to think I would have been into it.
TV shows for kids. So, if you think about it, if you're a fan of the series, you got into it because it's an entertaining fantasy adventure for adults.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of the polar opposite of Indiana Jones in terms of what audience it's trying to gather. And I think that a lot of it disappeared off a lot of people's radar just because of that. It also got some fairly bad newspaper reviews. There was a New York Times article that laid into it.
Nice.
Terribly low ratings, and obviously cancellation after one season. So, this is something. This is a property that even if you're into Indiana Jones, you might still find trying in various different ways.
So it doesn't have the Last Crusade glow of a opening scene,
Right. So,
that
and that's the
everybody
other part.
seemed to love.
That's the other part of this, is kind of a feedback loop with the Indiana Jones series that's been created, because this was this started post Last Crusade,
Right.
and was done by the time Crystal Skull was released.
I'll say.
And so, well, it went on into the 2000s. I think the last one is like 2000, so pretty close to like in it kind of right in between both movies. And it's interesting because I obviously the idea of this comes from Last Crusade and the prequel Cold Open.
Yeah.
Which incidentally cannot exist in the same universe as this show. So that's interesting.
No, why not?
There's no account made for why they would be in Utah at that particular time.
Gotcha.
Based on what we see in this show, because Henry Jones Sr. is a character in Young Indiana Jones.
Okay.
He's basically the only. I think they were going to get around to it eventually in having like legacy characters, but he's really, apart from Indy, the only other legacy character in Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, which is probably another reason why there was a distance for a lot of people from it. And then, as we said, Harrison Ford is 10 years away from playing Old Man Indy for real. So this is sort of like, this is a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of what the Indiana Jones films would become. But at the time seemed so alien to idea of what an Indiana Jones film was. Um, and of course, there's, you know, if you think about it, the equivalent of this is the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Ewok movies. You know, not only are they all made by Lucasfilm, but it's the same deal where it's spin-off TV movies that are just on the fringes of canon,
Right.
a franchise canon, and you know there is a brief reference to young Indiana Jones in Crystal Skull when he tells Indy tells Mutt that he rode with Pancho Villa.
Oh, okay.
That's specifically referencing an episode of Young Indiana Jones. And although that, you know, you've only got Henry Jones Sr. as a legacy character, they do try and, you know, like all good prequels, they do try to sort of foreshadow a lot of what happens in the movies. And there's one TV movie which is about Indy's, like the first part of Indy's lifelong search for the treasure of the Peacock's Eye, which he's you know, the diamond
Man,
that
they really
he's,
struggle with names late in this series, don't they?
well, you know, the diamond that he's looking for at the beginning of Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
We see the origins of his lifelong search for that
Okay.
in Young Indiana Jones, but I can't think of any other instances where it crosses over.
So
They
many
was
lifelong things to get after. The latest preview for the latest movie is like, yeah, this Dial of Destiny, he's been looking for it his whole life. Meanwhile, the
Yeah,
Crusade tells us it was this cross. I mean, you know,
yeah, and I guess
make
like
up your mind.
I mean, what, you know, while not venturing as far back as Last Crusade did, Dial of Destiny is doing its own kind of young Indiana Jones,
Yeah,
because now Indiana Jones is old, but it's very clear from what we've seen in the trailers and what we know about the
we're gonna
film that
de-age that guy.
there will be a 1930s era Indy at some point in the film.
Yeah.
Um, you, and here's a question that has nothing to do with young Indiana Jones, but do you think it's time travel,
Oh no.
the Dial of Destiny?
Oh, I really hope not. I don't think so.
Because that was a very early rumor
Really?
that
It just feels like flashback storytelling to me.
well, it was an early rumor that the fantasy element of this one was going to be time travel, and that kind of disappeared. And then we heard the title, and people were like, "That could be a time
Right.
machine." And then we saw, you know, Mads Mikkelsen saying, "I will go back and correct Hitler's mistakes," and
Well, and I was
disappearing
just
into some kind of a
yeah.
vortex. And it was just
Well,
like, you know,
you
it
and
could be time travel.
it could be. You and I think we've already talked on the regular feed about, or at least in passing, have mentioned the de-aging. But
Sure.
I recently saw the latest preview, and it seems like Mads Mikkelsen. I think he's de-aged as
Yeah,
well.
he
I
is.
think
Yeah,
we're telling
which
a.
is,
So it just
yeah.
seems like the villain and the hero, their paths have crossed.
I mean, I
Uh,
hope so, but I think there's also, I mean,
but
you know,
after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I'm not
that's
putting.
it. Yeah, if
I
you
am
can
not
do aliens,
putting
why can't you
time
do time
travel off the
travel?
table.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
But I
can't.
mean, even, you know, that's the thing, and that's what is, I think, one of the sharpest contrasts when you're watching Indiana Jones is there is not a fantasy element to any of these stories. In
Mhm.
fact, the opposite. What the stories are based on historical fact and science and the
Mhm.
things that, so there is no, they're in entirely different universes. I think maybe there's a ghost in one of them. I think that's as far as we go.
Okay.
Although I think there is, I let's see if you can spot. There is a brief cameo by Yahweh from Raiders of the Lost Ark
Hmm.
in here. So see if you can catch it. Um, I mean that's
Well, I mean, is it like blink and you miss it? Like the guy wearing jeans in Raiders of the Lost Ark
or the tote
in the
scarecrow.
background?
Shout out to Indiana Jones Minute with the tote. I saw. I rewatched India. Sorry, I rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even I have to stop myself from giving that stupid updated title.
Yes, thank you. Because that's not the title.
And I was struck by how cheap some of it looked, in a good way. And Indiana Jones Minute alerted me to the fact that in the scene, and you'll know it, and then most people who are watching this will know it, where Indy's being hidden by Omar after the car chase, and then the Nazis in their convertible swoop in, and it's like all of them are in the car. If you look closely at Tote, they've literally like put a coat on a stick. And I've heard this like throughout. It became a catchphrase on Indiana Jones Minute, and I'd never truly looked at that moment. And this time, I was like, "Oh, this is where the Tote Scarecrow is." And I looked at it, and I could not believe how much it looked like a stick with a coat on.
All right.
So obviously they couldn't get Ronald Lacey that day.
Well, I'm gonna have to. Maybe that's my homework assignment for tonight.
Yeah. So I mean, we might as we've covered this, and this was largely an excuse so we could start talking about Indiana Jones. Although our plans are, if the movie indicates that it's the last in the series, we will cover the whole thing.
Well, and it should be
at some point this year.
I mean, everybody, I think, including Harrison Ford, has been alluding to the fact that this is it. I know for a fact whenever somebody brings up a reboot or something like that, Harrison Ford gets more prickly than usual. He's always saying, "No, I'm Indiana Jones. Nobody fucking else." So we're gonna have to wait for him to die to start over in any way.
Yeah.
So I like to think that we have clear sailing after this movie.
Yeah. But how are you feeling? Let's 3 trailers in about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Oh, I've only seen 2 for starters. But having seen the second one
the Super Bowl one was kind of more or less the first one with a little bit of added footage.
Oh.
But they're I guess the 2 distinct ones are the one that begins "I miss the desert, I miss the sea," and then the one that begins with Indiana Jones waking up to to Mick Jagger's screams during "Sympathy for the Devil."
The second preview made me feel less assured than the second or the first preview.
Wow, okay. I felt entirely the opposite.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know. There was it's. I guess I could imagine the movie.
I guess because it seemed like they were really. They seemed like to be going for a quirkiness that it made me think that maybe the movie was unsure of what it was. I don't know. I could be off base there, but
I don't think you're off base at all.
Okay. But it was a gut feeling.
Well, I mean, I had a lot more trepidation about the first couple of trailers.
Okay.
Because they were front loading the de-aging of it, which almost for me disqualifies it from being a legitimate Indiana Jones movie.
You know what was funny to me about the de-aging thing was 2 things. I thought the exact same as you did. I thought, listen, if you're gonna do a movie, he'll just be a really old Indiana Jones. Just do that. I don't need to see him de-aged. Yeah, right. Again, one more time.
Second time.
But I did think upon like watching that first preview a second time and kind of really leaning in, I did have to admit that the de-aging itself might look better than it ever has before.
I still don't think you can, as the film is leading me to believe, I don't think you can base a cold open around it, especially
exactly.
Cold open.
I don't think,
and if that happens, I don't know if I can get on board with and you know how I struggle to get on board with movies if the cold open is not up to scratch.
Yes, right.
Especially within a formula piece. You know. those of you who've listened to our many video episodes on No
Don't
Time
go
to Die.
don't go
Yeah.
over 7 minutes. Tom Stewart.
Well, it can. I mean, it can go. It can do that if it wants. It's more sort of like, how am I? How am I going to take it seriously after that?
Mm.
And also, how am I going to think that this opening? It's almost like the previous 4 films have won without doing anything.
Yeah, right.
Because at least they have intros that feature present day
The
Harrison
actual
Ford, which
actor.
seems like a low bar to judge them by. Anyway, it's all speculation, and modern day
Yeah, but
trailers are
I gotta
designed to
tell you,
confuse and dissemble. So
if I was going to pick what the de-aging involves based off the previews I've seen, and now that I've seen Mads Mikkelsen de-age as well, it does seem like the cold open,
yeah,
fronting the rest of the story. It seems like that's something Hollywood would do, something that a screenwriter of this movie would do, whoever it was, because they think they're being fun and clever. And sadly,
they
I think
thought that about Last Crusade as well, and that cold open has not aged well in the
no,
eyes
yeah,
of many people. That is
but
that is like one of the classic
I do think that they're
arguments against the prequel.
yeah.
And I mean, we'll reserve judgment, and
Until we see
I
it.
don't want to use it that way because it deserves to be judged in its own right.
But
But
I do
if
also
you,
want to say that I think you and I are old men yelling at clouds. I don't know that most of America
or
feels the
yelling at
way that we
snakes,
do.
yeah.
Yes. So, yelling at dust clouds.
And it's interesting because another way in which I feel like I'm an old man yelling at a cloud is that there's not going to be a lot of old men yelling at clouds in the movie, because I've heard Harrison Ford talk about how he excised any age jokes from the script.
Oh.
Um,
Hmm.
and I'm much more attracted to those kind of those movies about anachronisms, about
Mm-hmm.
the sort of Unforgiven, I guess, is the gold standard of that. It's
Yeah,
sort of
right.
like people past their best, coming together for one more job or one more mission or something,
Mm-hmm.
like the Space Cowboys kind of movie. Like
Yeah, right.
and
They are literally out of
obviously
place.
where Harrison Ford is in his life, that makes sense that you make that movie. But
Mm-hmm.
he seems to be actively resisting that, which a lot of people are happy about, because they don't want to be reminded that it's sad old Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
or and judging by the dreamscape of the hosts of the Indiana Jones Minute, they're actively scared the movie will begin with Old Man Indy
Yeah.
from Young Indiana Jones. So I guess that's what everyone is. But
See, but
I don't see how you can. I don't know. Like, you just have to. It's like those the late Roger Moore movies. You just have to deny
yeah,
reality.
right. Yeah.
Quite. And it's
But
like,
it's
how
funny
much
you
can you
say
do
that,
that?
because that second preview, like him just sitting on a subway,
Yeah.
it seemed to me that they were leaning into a man.
It was in a Lazy Boy at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
He wakes up in a Lazy Boy.
Waking up in a lazy boy, looking kind of forlorn on the subway, feeling out of place. So it
Well,
seemed to
maybe it
me
was
that they
just,
were leaning into
yeah.
the age thing a bit
Maybe
in a
it's
way
just the
that I
jokes.
thought was good, that would resonate. But
I think he said he thought that there was too much of that in Crystal Skull.
mm-hmm.
But again, you're on it's
He might not be right. Like, if he's talking about cheap jokes, then okay.
well, cheap jokes specifically about aging.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I
you
mean.
wouldn't if you took out all the cheap jokes from Crystal Skull, you wouldn't have a movie. It
Sure.
would last about 10 minutes. But it's a spectrum, isn't it? It's like that weird thing. It's about, why are you doing something about it now
When
when
the
you're
whole
80
thing about the
years old?
character is that he's the sloppy
Yeah.
hero.
When
You
there's
just keep
no
the
other way
yeah.
for you to, like, already, like, the trailers are making out that he is retiring. I'm like,
Yes, right.
it's like, that's still old to be retiring.
Right.
So, it's
If you're
interesting.
quitting, it's due to
Yeah.
old age.
It's that sort of thing about it's the equivalent of the Bond films again. Of course, there's so much crossover between the Bond franchise and the Indiana Jones franchise, but
Whether there is or not, you're going to talk about it.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Relevance be damned. But it's sort of like bring up the possibility that Roger Moore's too old in For Your Eyes Only, and then not ever in View to a Kill.
In A View to a Kill, yeah.
5 years later.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of like that seems to be. I'm not saying that it's a vanity thing, but there is a little bit of that sort of.
In that case, it feels more
aging.
like we don't want to draw notice to it, so we won't talk about it.
Exactly. But I think the film could be, if you look at something like Unforgiven, the film could be
right, of course,
extremely rich if you lent into that dialogue.
Right.
I guess not do it.
You know what? Right. All of this is
right.
moot,
it shouldn't
though.
Be. Yes.
Because we're here to talk about young Indiana Jones. So
yeah, that's right.
By the way, we're watching this on YouTube, everyone. So
you don't even know like what this is about, what this movie's about.
No, I have no clue.
Or where it is in history, or
you said
all the things.
You said just type in Oganga, and I said Gesundheit.
Yeah, but I mean, by the way, they seem to have overlooked when they re-edited the episodes into TV movies. Rather than sort of re-edit the titles, they just slapped them together. So that's why the title is so long and clunky.
Is unwieldy, yeah.
Yeah, it's because first of all, it went from the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles to the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. And I feel like if you're going to make that change, make it shorter.
Right.
Not the same number of words.
And, well, I kind of want to get to it.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's get let's get to it. But Oganga, the Giver and Taker of Life, tells you nothing about what this movie is, where it's set, what it's about, who's
the Giver and Taker of Life. That is long.
And we also don't get around to that until quite late on in the movie as to why that's relevant.
Mm.
So, but let's do it. Yeah, let's get into it and hope you enjoyed our preview of Indiana Jones coverage coming later in 2023. And let's get ready for...
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We're about to start with double title that I don't remember. So it's Chronicles of Young Indiana Jones now, or the Adventures?
It's mislabeled on YouTube.
Okay.
So they don't.
The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. What?
Oganga, the Giver, and Taker
of Life.
Okay.
Right. I wonder if he chooses poorly.
It's a double. It's a double. It's a triple title.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go, everyone. Get ready. We're starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
The Paramount logo.
How good is it? I love it.
That turns into...
Oh no, what? Not a molehill, I hope.
That's right, nothing.
Oh, good.
Because
hey, look at that.
Because it's a re-edited from 2 TV episodes. And there's the 90s Lucasfilm. Some mock-ups of historical war photography.
Yeah.
Which really reminds you this was intended as an educational history series for children. Isaac de Bancoul from Casino Royale and Black Panther.
Right. The Giver and Taker.
It's not really an old photograph. It's just a special effect. I mean, you know, it's historically impossible to get that footage, so that might tip you off. Frank Darabont there wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
Also, he did a pass at Crystal Skull, I think, as well. I love how it turns to color, and you're in a way that you're supposed to think, "Oh, I thought that was real archive for photographs and newsreel footage." So this is fairly, you know, this is kind of boys' own adventure. This is what you expect from Indiana Jones.
My gosh. Mine is loud. I can barely hear you. Okay.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah. Oops. I accidentally paused.
YouTube, you're doing your job too well.
Right.
Pretty good editing in this sequence.
You know, it's funny because I was just going to say you mentioned that these were really expensive,
Yeah.
and it seems to me that there is a what kind of basic level of competency. I mean, this looks pretty slick.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a specific reason why, which won't be revealed until the end credits.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like it's giving the illusion of a cinematic level
Yeah,
battle
look, that's what I was gonna say, that it looks very cinematic.
on a
And we're
small
talking
budget.
television from the 90s, so
Yeah. But they you know, like their budget was notoriously large,
yeah.
which is why they got cancelled. So basically what you're seeing on screen is the reason they got cancelled.
Yeah, right.
Probably whatever it took to do this battle was the reason they were cancelled. Could this be the end of Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
We absolutely know it's not. And therein lies the prequel problem.
Right. Well, I don't even get an explanation.
For what?
How he got back up?
Oh, no, we find that out.
Okay.
There's Remy, his Belgian comic sidekick. Sort of a proto Jar Jar figure.
It's interesting that the two sides seem to have the same uniforms. Usually in a
Yes.
war movie, you want to differentiate them somehow. Reminded me of
like, yeah.
What was that show you were talking about where the two guys, the two Nazi soldiers say, "Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies?" Yeah. Exactly. Mitchell and Webb. I wonder whether their hands are tied by the, you know, the kind of historical research aspect of it. Like, well, they had the same uniforms essentially. We got half a Wilhelm scream there.
I'm already forgetting things. Did we get a year?
Nope.
We didn't get a year at the beginning of this, did we?
No, I think you did. That's the other drawback of the TV movie re-edit is you got the year in the original episode.
Okay.
And it would be set up by Old Man Indy saying, back in blah, 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 blah.
How old is Indy supposed to be here? It's young to be
It's
stabbing people.
1916, so he's a teenager.
Okay. Oh, I think we saw that shot already.
Yeah, we're getting into that Battle of the Planet of the Apes.
We really
Reuse
are.
of
I'm seeing things twice
we're,
for sure.
we're gonna see the same tree getting blown up.
Yeah.
Do you think this was the
Nobody on the opposing side is taking a look to the enemy fire coming right at them from their left.
Do you think this is the inspiration for Solo?
Uh,
So I know they were influenced by the young Indian Last Crusade.
fantastic.
He did so Indy's he went full Dances with Wolves, and then he went full Rambo.
Right.
Started shooting the enemy with their own guns.
All like he just a few seconds ago he finally stopped firing that machine gun, and all I could think of was the nightmares that child's gonna have for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm. In many ways, this is probably
There we go. Explanation.
Yeah. But the black people think it's magic.
Right. Disobeyed a direct order. I called it. Boom.
Killing Germans and disobeying rules. Not much different when we find him as an adult.
Yeah.
Seems like Indy played as much of a role in defeating Kaiser Wilhelm as he did defeating Hitler.
Right.
What about Remy? Oh, he's just a comic sidekick. We're just ramping up to Jar Jar with this guy. It's just a pair of cufflinks.
You get to keep that thing you killed all the people with.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also the teaching purpose. It's trying to teach you about, modern warfare technology.
Yeah.
With a healthy dose of bloodshed thrown in to make it palatable for children. Remy's a good exposition dump as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I think if they'd have stuck with some of Remy's attributes as a sidekick, we would have had a better Jar Jar.
Right.
Because whenever he's on the battlefield, he's actually fighting, as opposed to I don't know what Jar Jar does in Phantom Menace, juggling blancmanges or whatever it is he's doing. Wouldn't it have been kind of cool if Jar Jar just turned into a badass on the battlefield?
Well,
he just
I think most of America would have thought, too late.
If he just went full Rambo on the battlefield. And then as soon as it was done, went back to, accidentally stepping in dog poop.
Yeah, exactly. For all his other bumbling crimes, he has to go to a rock quarry, and the second one could have opened up with him pumping.
Yeah.
Iron
And a
and
lot of people's headcanon, Jar Jar ends up in a war crimes tribunal. Although I think in real canon he ends up like a street performer.
and Obi-Wan could have shown up to the rock quarry and said, "I did everything I could to get you out of here, or keep you out of here."
We're gonna have to edit that bit out because I don't want Lucasfilm knowing about that idea. It's too good.
You know, it's funny with Sean Patrick Flannery, they end up casting an actor who's like every bit as, you know, handsome. He looks a lot like River Phoenix.
Yeah. He's more of a surrogate River Phoenix than a
Yeah,
surrogate Harrison Ford.
exactly. Yeah.
If they think this is magic, wait until he gains eternal life from the Holy Grail.
Right?
The other way that they could play it in Dial of Destiny is that even though the Grail doesn't work if you leave the temple or whatever it's called.
Yeah, right.
That residually he got like an extra 10-15 years, so he's still more like 65-70.
Yeah, exactly.
He can overcome the 90s and watching African people dance. I blame Paul Simon.
I was just gonna say you can blame Paul Simon. Damn it, you beat me.
if it makes you feel any better, I don't have that written down. That was off the cuff.
Okay. Swallow it. Don't swallow it. That accent sounds like a mix of British and German.
Mm-hmm. And I think he's supposed to be French.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Or at least Belgian. I think he's supposed to be Belgian.
Okay. Maybe that's why.
Well, Belgian isn't a mixture of British and French, so they're wrong whatever they're going for. So that there's one of the disadvantages of turning it into standalone movies is there's all these running threads, like where he got that locket and who that is, who incidentally is a very famous member of German royalty.
Oh.
And the fact he's called Captain Defense is a whole thing. Like he gave a false name, and
I was just gonna ask you that. Did they call him Defense?
They did, yeah, because it all goes back to because he's underage. He shouldn't be out there.
Okay, and that was one of my during the battle. I was thinking about that. I was like, how old is he supposed? I think I asked, didn't I? How old is he supposed to be here?
He ran away from home to ride with Pancho Villa
because he didn't want to recount Latin alphabet.
That's exactly it. No, you're dead on. He didn't want to go back. He didn't want to face his father's judgment for running away from his studies, and so he joined the war. He's signed up.
Oh, literally from Crusade, like that prequel storyline.
Well, no, because that's never referenced in any of this.
Okay,
but he specifically because he doesn't want to face his dad's judgment for what he did.
I don't know. Something about that first scene though makes me. It takes a little shine off the hero for me.
Yeah,
just because he killed so many people.
Yeah. in general, I'd say this is the highest body count of any Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that they're all set during World War II.
Right.
It's writing a letter to T. Lawrence.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. I don't think we've mentioned it so far. In every
Look at that train.
every
Man, they spent money on this.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So in every episode he meets someone impossibly famous from history.
Oh, okay.
So he already knows and has struck up a pen pal relationship with T.E. Lawrence.
Is it how early on does he strike that? And do they keep it through the rest of the series, or is it just a
Yeah, it's
few
like
episodes?
I think it's in the pilot episode. But he meets a new historical figure every week.
I was gonna say, it'd be pretty funny if every week he changes who his pen pal is.
That's it. It is. It's literally every week he meets someone else who's famous.
And in the next episode, he's writing to them and forgets all about the previous one.
Well, it's not just the writing. Like the whole episode revolves around, he meets Ernest Hemingway.
I know, but like what I'm saying is, after the Hemingway episode, is he writing a letter to Hemingway and he forgets all about
No,
Lawrence?
that's yeah.
Okay.
But he might as well, given the number of famous people he meets per week.
Who are we going to meet here? Are we keeping it a surprise?
And this eagle's saying, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah.
I also wish this letter he's writing was telling us something that hadn't yet to be established. Probably came after a commercial in the original broadcast.
No help for that guy.
You can hear a little bit of the Raiders theme in the music here.
Yeah.
I think that's intentional.
Now, what's your feeling about binoculars in movies?
Do people have a problem with it?
Well, they always give you the double, when really, when you look through binoculars, it's just one circle.
Oh, that's your issue with it.
I'm just curious what you think.
There's also quite a lot of it in Lucas productions.
He
likes a good binocular shot.
Sure.
Isn't there one in each Star Wars movie, I think?
Yeah, I mean,
minimum.
It's like starts Star Wars with Luke looking off into the sunset.
Now, would you like it more or less if they did the map with the line thing when they're traveling?
I mean, it keeps with.
It seems like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, it would be more satisfying.
Sure.
Although I guess they're not going very far enough for there to be a red line from anywhere to anywhere.
Well, but they could just have the red line going slower because they're walking.
It's the television version.
Yeah. I mean, you show the red line and then you sort of superimpose like the guy falling off the waterfall and the guy falling in the creek. You could do that.
I'd like that.
And then you also superimpose the voiceover on top of that. You just keep layering.
That's also another great prequel moment with the guy falling into the waterfall, because it's one time he falls, not three.
Right.
Because it's a prequel.
Right. Yeah, look at your. Well, are they your people? He's not British. Seemed like the. Where do we say he was from? Belgium?
Yeah.
Looks like the Belgian motto is "fuck those kids."
It's on the flag. Fuck those kids and eat. and eat mussels and fries. I guess this is where all this sentimentality around sick children in third world countries comes from in Temple of Doom.
Mm. He's not wrong.
It's the same dilemma, really, as Temple of Doom, isn't it? It's like, is he going to save the children, or is he going to pocket the
stones?
The loot.
Why not both?
Well, that's where Temple of Doom ends up. But oh no, he gives the stone back, doesn't he?
He does. It's not right. You know, a good Harrison Ford, it's not right line.
he does. He quotes Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, later on in the movie.
Mm.
I'm sure you'll notice. Now, how much do you think? So his name is Remy. How much do you think he was the inspiration for the animator who drew Ratatouille? And is that why ultimately Lucasfilm, by Disney bought Lucasfilm, because they were worried about being sued? Because he looked so much like the rat in Ratatouille.
We don't want to get ourselves into trouble. Just buy it.
And he's called Remy. Now, this is a somewhat less exciting map scene than the ones we've seen prior in Indiana Jones.
Off the map, clearly.
I'm using it as a child's diaper.
Uh-oh.
I'm too stupid to come up with an excuse.
Mm.
Of course he did. So much ADR for the bank hall. But it's still definitely his voice. Which makes me think maybe he sounded too black.
No.
Can't explain it other. It's got to have something to do with racism. No, wait, that's Han Solo who talks his way out of problems. That's the other guy. That's the it's the guy whose fever dream it is. That's a good point. Is this part of the fever dream?
That'd be great.
If so, what's happening to him?
He looks like he's having a fever dream.
Maybe Star Wars is this guy's fever dream. I imagined that boy I hate much older and in space.
Oh, wow.
Now let's sing the Belgian national anthem. Fuck the kids. Eat mussels and fries. Belgians are very nice. Just want to say for the record, I've been to Belgium many times.
Right.
It's a wonderful country with wonderful people, very friendly, great food, great culture.
They probably don't leave children behind very often.
Good beer. I wouldn't drink Belgian beer now, but I liked it when I went to Belgium.
All right.
It's just not my forte. You look like the rat from Ratatouille.
He was very specific. We got to tie him to a tree, make sure he doesn't follow us.
Then we're going to blow up the tree and then see it several times.
That actor looks familiar.
Yeah, he's at Debancol from Casino Royale and
Okay.
Black Panther. I think there was a lot of gunfire going on when I first said
that. You're right.
He's the warlord in Casino Royale, and
right.
He's also been in The Sopranos. He's been in a ton of things. He's the guy with the giant lip in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. Why is Indiana Jones in a Belgian army?
Well, they because they took him basically.
You mean like abducted him? Or he said, hey, I want to join. And they were like, yeah, sure. What the fuck?
Well, this is another one of those, like when you actually watch, I've watched this whole thing through, like all of the young Indiana Jones. I've watched it all through at least once. And the story goes that George Lucas began the project by writing a full Indiana Jones timeline of his life. But well, it is George Lucas, but I can't imagine all these like detours into different parts of the world just so he could meet another historical celebrity. that was in the original timeline of what happened in his life.
Yeah, right.
Plus, he didn't put the stuff that he'd already done in the movies in there.
He was Forrest Gumping Indiana Jones before Forrest Gump came out.
That's kind of also what he did with the prequels, wasn't it? Where he wasn't
right.
Everything was convenience, not what actually happened.
Yeah, like the audience is, Indy.
If you'd seen the previous episodes of the series, you'd know. However, we're TV movies now, so you don't have to.
I like the evil push in.
Yeah.
On the disobeying of a direct order.
Yeah. You think he's gonna go fire?
Yes.
Tie the child to the tree.
Then blow the tree up. Oh, I don't want to see him pass over that kid. Watch that kid get thrown over the hill.
In this period of media, I always hate when children look genuinely scared, because I know the lengths that the people behind the scenes went to making that happen. And there's always some kind of traumatic experience involved in it. It's never just like Like Ben Stiller in Extras putting the gun. You want to see your mommy, Dad? You want to see it, Dad?
For not murdering.
Yeah. You're not murdering, despite your performance on the battlefield.
This is a white man's army. You're not murdering enough.
That would be a good defense for him. To just sort of say, remember all those people I killed on the battlefield? Doesn't that give me like a...
We're getting a Rudy moment. Everybody's laying their jersey down on the desk.
I would say Spartacus, but yeah, Rudy works just as well, I guess.
You're not wrong.
Well, he did.
I can't remember.
He did say, "Do you think it's a game?"
Oh.
So
I can't remember what we were doing where I referenced that Rudy shot, though.
it's got to be Bad News Bears.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, but for good reason. Have you before a firing squad? All of you. That's when you know you're right. When you're
But
the
so
only
we are the
one.
firing squad. Oh,
but we all like it. We're all happy.
Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world. Do they know it's Christmas time? Nope. Because they're from largely Muslim countries.
Turns out we were so loud, we were attacked by enemies. Oh, looks like I was right. Who are they burying?
It's darker than any. These mass graves are darker than anything in Temple of Doom.
Right? That's saying something.
And this is made for primetime TV.
Yeah.
This is some. There's at 8:30 mass graves. I don't know if that's the best analogy. Nobody's like eating the corpses along the way.
Right.
Or maybe they are.
That's ADR right there.
I don't know if anyone has spoken on film yet.
Yeah. We're saving your life so you can have us put in front of the firing squad.
I'm a warrior of racial equality. Now get a hammock for that white man. I gotta say though, it's entirely less white savior than Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
At least the black people have agency in this.
Right.
Yeah, we made it to the National Geographic centerfold.
Thank you. Is that supposed to be Jacques? Kind of looks like
Humphrey
Jacques.
Bogart in the
Yeah,
African Queen.
African Queen.
That's who I'm supposed to be today.
He's too old. He's too old for Jacques.
Too old. Too old.
Or
Do you recognize this guy? We've seen him very recently on an episode that has yet to be released, but we've announced we're doing it,
So,
so we can
little
talk
lady,
about it. Hmm?
little lady,
Yeah. Who do you think he is?
I got to see him again.
Oh, you'll see more of him.
Yeah. See the butler?
Well, this is the part of the movie where they are starting to reference
All the
African
Belgians
Queen.
look like they're ghosts.
Fuck the kids, we all look like ghosts. Actor's name is Brian Pringle. Shots from the African Queen. Shots from the African Queen.
Oh no, steam.
Why did it have to be steam? Young boy,
Look at that boy. Yeah.
blow up that droid control station.
Turn away from them. Good baby.
At least he meant to actually do that. Didn't accidentally save the
Yeah.
day.
He's so sweaty. I can't tell who it is.
He's the shepherd.
Oh. That is one cute kid. I'll tell you that much.
Very cute kid. It's also a reminder that this is Lucasfilm post Temple of Doom Jedi. It's like all roads lead to the prequels at this point.
Yeah.
Do you know Brian Pringle from anything else? He's in Brazil. He's in
Brazil.
Saturday Night and Sunday Morning.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You should make time to see that. It's one of the great British films. Albert Finney. Basically doing kind of a British Marlon Brando.
You heard me. Don't die. The kid looked like he was reaching in for like, don't die.
That would have been a funnier joke than the one they came up with. No, that's the next episode. We're not going there now.
Really?
Yeah. That's just a teaser for the next episode.
Nice.
Sorry, I mean the second half.
Ooh. Yeah, that's it. Irrational.
You need to learn to hate the Germans. I give you about 20 years.
It'll come. Don't worry. Cut to Nazis. I hate these guys.
It's interesting though. The second half of this does. Oh dear, here we go. More death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's not ripping a human heart out of a body, but it's pretty bleak. Look,
Hey.
look, it's the next episode. Just over there.
You know what's hysterical about this?
What?
I was gonna
Please
ask
tell me.
you. I was gonna ask you in the introduction if it ends on a cliffhanger. I guess not.
No, I mean, unusually for this show, they planned two back-to-back episodes to one to pick up from the other.
Hmm.
They didn't normally do that. So you're not really getting the full experience of how stitched together these movies are.
Also, you do want me to still kill everyone in the firing squad?
I look a bit like your father, and that's no coincidence.
Yeah. Good actor though.
Yeah,
Like
he's
that,
very good.
it's
There
a
are some.
good
Well,
death
Brian
scene.
Pringle's great. There's so many good character actors in this
Yeah.
series. The Lucasfilm pool of talent is pretty extensive.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the writing side, like Frank Darabont.
Right. No slouch.
No,
Not unlike yourself with the full few solid meals.
it's a shame you couldn't give him some of yours.
You lost no weight on that death march.
I didn't see much of Lost, but didn't they try and work in some kind of backdoor explanation as to why the heavyset guy never lost weight? Wasn't he sneaking? Didn't he have like a stockpile of snacks somewhere?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Sounds like something that show would do.
Shut up.
At least they explained it though.
Great first season.
Hmm.
Great.
Mostly flashback as I remember it.
But with purpose. Informing
Not not
decisions made on the island.
not ultimately.
I can't argue that.
Hmm.
Also, fuck the kid. Not like that. I mean,
Good
say
TV
what you
melodrama.
want. This is
Yeah, it's affecting. No,
this is pretty good stuff.
I'm not saying what I want. I rather like this.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed quite a few of these episodes / movies over the years. That's
Everyone,
it.
kiss the
It's
baby.
good TV melodrama.
Yeah.
Just looks a little bit like dead time in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it was never meant to be a movie, so
Right.
can you blame it?
What an experience too for like a young actor like Sean Patrick Flannery at that time.
Yeah. And this is where you would go back to Old Man Indy.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, we're going straight on. This is where the second episode
It
begins.
starts.
Yeah.
Oh man, that guy could be me. What's going on there? A glass eye?
So originally, I was just like, did he have the monocle in too long? But
Yeah, is that what's
no, I think he has a facial disfigurement injury.
okay? Sorry, I missed the narrative. What's going on?
I don't think there's a. No, you didn't.
Okay. No important information was exchanged there.
No.
Looks like he was denying them something.
Oh, they're gonna blow up. They want him to blow up that hospital
Ah,
that they passed by.
he sounds like he's practicing to become a Muppet.
In many ways, he is. And that Muppet's name was Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Here, yeah.
It's kind of funny how anti-authority that this is compared to Indiana Jones, where they're fairly
A right hook.
easygoing about that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He hates rats. There were rats, Dad.
I mean, there's no way getting around it. This also feels very Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Yeah, or like Apocalypse Now made for
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Like children's television Apocalypse Now.
I'm always going for the B version, and you're always going for the A version.
Except as neither of us consider Rambo First Blood the B version of anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But outside of our little enclave, that is true. I wondered if they're actually going for shot remake of the African Queen at this point.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if there's only so many ways you can film an alligator going into the water, but it looks
Or
pretty
throw a dead
identical.
body overboard, for that matter. What is it that's the problem? They're catching disease just by being on the boat?
Diseases and the heat and we're about to introduce a new
bring water.
A new medical condition to the mix. With a slightly more upbeat name. Jiggers. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? I think you're under I don't think you're able to call anything a big rat bastard. That looks like Hollywood.
We're ending the last episode and beginning this episode with a lot of boat. A lot of still boat.
Aimless drifting. Boat aimlessly drifting through a storyline going nowhere.
with some half sleeping, half dying.
I know, bold choice, huh?
No, this guy's not suffering at all.
This guy's all kind of other. He's a black guy speaking German.
What's going on here? Because I was going to jokingly say, is that one of those famous black Germans?
Well, let's introduce historical figure of the week.
Hmm. Meh.
Wherever he goes, he keeps bumping into these incredibly famous people. The world was much smaller then, apparently.
Couldn't walk 20 feet without bumping into a massively famous person.
It sounds like a Grandpa Simpson story.
Yeah. In odd 8,
Al Johnson lived on the corner of the street. See him 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
who's this? Albert Schweitzer?
Yeah. Was that a guess, or did you?
That was a guess.
It was clearly an educated guess. He also said it like, "Who's this, Albert Schweitzer?" Which kind of made it funnier. We go, "Yeah, that's
yeah, actually, it is. Yeah.
If you did that throughout the young Indiana Jones, you would be like, "Who's this, Ernest Hemingway?" Oh, it is. Okay. What are you, Picasso?
It'd be a break of my hippopotamus oath. Which Simpsons episode is that? He says, "Don't forget your hippopotamus oath."
I don't know. That's fantastic. I didn't know that one. Wow. Introduced me to a new Simpsons quote.
Good stuff.
That doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, I'll say.
So what happened between then and now with Germans that meant Indy was such a virulent racist towards them? Because if he met and knew Albert Schweitzer, you'd think he'd be a bit more sympathetic to the German people.
Is that answered in the rest of the series? Or do we just have Raiders to go off of?
We just have Raiders to just have,
I suppose once you align yourself with Belloc, you're off the list forever.
That's where he drew the line, not at Hitler.
Yeah.
Who's also Belgian. Isn't Belloc Belgian?
I think so.
There you go. That's then
for Indy,
this
there's
explains
Belloc.
All of that.
Yeah, for Indy, there's Belloc, and right below him, there's Hitler.
That explains why he hates Belgians so much.
Dear Dr. Schweitzer, I'm having myself quite an adventure. Please forward this to T.S. Lawrence. Yeah.
Gonna blow up the ark, Renee. Don't
He
you think
really
that
is
that's a
quite
reference?
petulant, isn't he?
Don't you think it's a so this is interesting. Like, what term do you use when a prequel foreshadows something that we've already seen, but is historically ahead in time? The
Right.
best I can come up with is back foreshadowing.
That's fantastic.
It's pretty good.
That must be the wife.
And there's Mrs. Schweitzer.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He told me you were down here guarding the boat that nobody wants. Idiot child.
He told me you'd gone all apocalypse now.
Yeah. I like that he accepts the tea from the people he doesn't trust so readily.
Yeah,
Like
it
it's
would be
not
the
poisoned
easiest
or
way to
something.
kill him
Yeah, exactly.
through poison. Like, this is poison.
Don't
Maybe
worry, there's
that
an
would have been
antidote. There's an electric blue antidote.
a better callback in Crystal Skull. Indy recounting the time that Albert Schweitzer tried to poison him with tea. Mutt's like, wow, that anecdote came out of nowhere.
Right?
What's happened to Mutt, do you think?
No.
I knew I would get that reaction. I knew it. That's the only reason I said it. I suspect he's dead.
I know. I was gonna say he tragically died in a motorcycle accident,
Marion's got to be dead.
doing some sort of evil Knievel type stunt.
He can't be separated from Marion. Marion's got to be dead.
Oh, I don't know. It is an Indiana Jones movie.
But just see, well, you know, as soon as I saw him in the trailer in that lazy boy, I was like, well, Marion's dead. This is like, after the time jump in About Schmidt.
Yes,
Right. Just after his wife dies, and then it's like a month later,
a month later,
getting fly-ridden taco shells out of the closet. Maybe she just died. Maybe it begins with
I wonder who he gets in the jacuzzi with naked in the Indiana Jones movie.
That's a good question.
Well, it's about time. I've been guarding that boat for days.
We
for
really
no
thought
reason,
you
Captain.
lost your mind.
For no reason.
That's a lot.
So four others.
How do you say it in English? 4. They're making out Albert Schweitzer can't sort of stay on a topic. Does he have feet? He's
right.
Well, he's a big guy. Yes, I know, but does he have toes?
Is it that idiot that made us go down the river? I know how many toes it leaves. You don't have to condescend to me, stupid ass. None. The answer is none. You've lost no toes. I lost 2 of mine. You dick.
Maybe the Germans are okay after all.
Right?
I hope no cataclysmic historical event comes along in the next 20 years to change my mind. For just $5 a month, you can sponsor a family.
And this good-looking white boy. What's going on here? Did you see a color change? Just like everything
disapproval
faded a little bit.
Well, this looks like it might just be that this is the footage they could get, right? Because looks like a real working village.
Yeah.
Like somewhat on location.
Apparently, as a doctor, Schweitzer just touches your cheeks and your arms, and that's it. That's the extent of his abilities as a doctor.
Well, maybe he's had some of that Grail juice. And he can play the piano.
Hey.
He's a 10.
Sorry, ladies, he's taken.
He's a zaddy.
The hell is that?
That's a
stuffed.
It's not stuffed, it's real. There's a stork in the room.
What the fuck?
This movie has 2 bird reaction shots. One bird goes east, the other goes west.
One's looking this way, one's looking that way.
And he's saying, "What do you want from me?
What do you want from me?"
It's funny how when people talk about their favorite minutes from Goodfellas, it's never the same as mine. The painting. One goes one way, one goes the other way. And this I say, "What do you want from me?" That and nah. You're a little out of order yourself.
Little out of line, little disrespectful.
You're a little out of order yourself. And the line made a lot of money too. But this isn't Goodfellas.
Nope.
This is like a kind of period version of Cribs with Albert Schweitzer.
But why? Hopeless. I just saved you and 4 of your friends, asshole.
I hope Frank Darabont knows the irony of I guess he does, that Indy did exactly the same thing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure this is based on real historical quotes, I said. Sounds like something you might find in a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Or on an audio museum guide.
Or after typing questions into Chat GPT.
Here's the origins of Indy having a piano in his home in Raiders.
There you go.
He plays quite a few musical instruments throughout the series.
Yeah?
Yeah, he plays at least one woodwind instrument. Because I meant to say when you said
the
earlier
oboe?
that there's no no Harrison Ford in Young Indiana Jones. He did, of course, make an appearance, and there we go. What do you want from me? I remember I didn't see this like the stork the first time or whatever it is, a pelican.
Mm-hmm. I
But
got to
they,
tell you, I mean, they really didn't let it move until the very end. It looked like.
yeah. Have you ever seen But pelicans are fairly stationary.
Yeah.
You see them all the time on IB Pier down here in the South Bay. They stand around waiting for the fishermen to give them little treats.
Lazy.
They're literally saying, "What do you want from me?"
What do you want from me? Give me some fish.
Title of the movie.
I mean, Oganga was mentioned almost in passing, 10 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
We've only got like 20 minutes left.
Well, of a TV episode. That's a lot of time. Oh, another bird.
Yay, bird.
Flying east. One bird goes east, the other goes west.
I'm getting out of this movie before you put me in a house.
Well, I did it on the battlefield.
This guy's good.
Hmm.
Couldn't you imagine seeing this in 91 and just having this shape all you ever thought about? Schweitzer?
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean,
You know?
it's like, it's Apocalypse Now as a kind of compliment, really, because they're talking about the same themes, the decay
Right.
of civilization through war. And that's where he got the idea to pull out a human heart. Kalimar.
Look at that. Magic time.
Just put some perfume on this handkerchief.
Right.
They'll think it's medicine, and the placebo effect will do the rest.
First, we must shave the patient.
Here we go.
Getting an explanation of the title of the movie 18 minutes before it's over.
A title that applies to half of the movie. For some reason, the second time it happens, they've forgotten the first time.
Yeah. They always try to set fire to the hut when they think I've killed him the first time.
Now we're back in white savior territory.
Yeah, we are.
The Indiana Jones wheelhouse.
He doesn't even seem to have pain where the scar is.
That's some really strong perfume you put on my face. It really woke
Mhm.
me up. I'm still terribly ill.
You know what, doctor? You don't know anything about my life. So how about you just take a walk? Thanks for the cure.
And judging by his behavior as an adult, Indy absorbed none of that message.
Right?
He likes to contribute to the suffering of others.
Yeah, there does seem for the character of Indy to be a little, it's a little after
Mhm.
school special
Yeah.
learning about how to be a good person. We forget when we meet him. He's willing to sacrifice a lot of people just to get an idol.
Yes. $11?
Hmm. He says, check for diamonds on the soles of my shoes.
If it's any consolation to you, that is the better Paul Simon joke that the two of us have made. You've won that round.
Excellent.
Check for diamonds on the soles of his shoes. What a song.
Oh, yeah.
What an album.
Great
Yeah.
album.
I don't recommend, breaking apartheid, but if you're gonna do it, produce something like Graceland.
Yeah, right?
Title track is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of disappoints me that Paul Simon admitted that he couldn't think of anything else to sing but Graceland.
Really?
That it was never meant to be about the actual Graceland.
Huh. Wait, is Schweitzer Oganga?
Yeah.
It only just occurred to me.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, this is an educational show and you've
Right.
learned something.
Okay.
So you got the best out of it.
All right. Oh, they come back to much fanfare.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of what I would call messing about on the river in the second half of the movie.
Well, not just the
Wind in the
first,
Willows
not
style.
the second half. It's half of both.
Well, yeah, but the first half is going in is like it's doing its job.
That's true.
It's like linear.
It is linear. It's going forward. You're right.
Here they're sort of going back and forth between
Right.
2 points.
I don't know. For some reason in my head, I kept expecting to have some kind of Mola Ram character come out, and that would be Oganga. All of a sudden, I realized, hey, wait a second, it's got to be Schweitzer, right?
You too will believe.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're setting you up for that, only to knock it down by it being a friendly white man with no ulterior motive. What about Eternal Life and the Penitent Man?
Yeah.
Penitent.
Oh, more gators.
Birds.
How great would it be if a gator just came up, took him in the water right now, off the ledge of the boat? Wow.
Well, you see, that's the problem. You can't deviate from what actually happened, because then you'd have like a generation of children going, "No, I saw it in Young Indiana Jones.
Ah,
An
no, he
alligator
died
held Albert
getting
Schweitzer."
attacked by an alligator.
Like in history class. What happened to? How did Albert Schweitzer die?
Gator attack.
I don't know if I've told you this story. Probably not. When I was in London recently, I went to a science museum, and there was like a rocket show. And Bill, I was there with Bill, and the host sort of said, like, we're gonna be using the concept of gravity. Does anyone know who first discovered gravity? And he gave a series of clues.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill very confidently put his hand up. I'm like, whoa, geez, like that.
So excited for this.
And he, and you know what he said?
What?
He went, Chicken Little.
Come on, did he get a standing ovation?
Yes, I know, it's amazing, isn't
That's
it?
amazing.
I guess because one of the clues was an apple fell on his head.
It just proves you're a good father. You're showing him the right stuff.
Such a good father. Somewhere along the line, I've taught him that Chicken Little discovered the concept of gravity.
Woo.
So the good guys are now imprisoning the good guys.
Yeah, what's going on there? Come on, he can still walk with 8 toes. He doesn't need crutches.
Not all of us are as tough as you, Mike, with your Rambo-style self-repairing, stitching yourself up in the
Well,
wild.
you know. Either super manly or extremely stupid. Pretty much, I think pretty close to extremely stupid. Way closer to that.
Well, enough to look down on a guy losing 2 toes and then being on crutches the next day. So
That's true.
definitely of the walk it off variety of
Suck it up,
manhood.
pork chop.
Hey, rat boy. Yo, Ratatouille. Get those crutches in.
His real face is as long as Jar Jar Binks' face.
Mm-hmm.
Just down instead of out.
Maybe that was it. George Lucas was like, I like the design of this guy's head. So can we do so? Like he just drew magic marker over,
Yeah.
you know, the great story of the pen
Yes. Just
and light and magic. It was then we realized we couldn't use originals.
make a copy. Always make a copy. He's gonna write all over it.
That great Phantom Menace documentary.
What's happening now? The French are taking Schweitzer?
The Belgians, yes.
Oh.
Because he's a German citizen. And they're
I
being
see.
expatriated from Africa. This is shortly before he gets eaten by an alligator. I'm sorry, we can't do a happy ending because of history. History's really shit. Stuff like this happens all the time.
I'd like it if Schweitzer's like, all my books are there. If you take a look into, you could teach yourself. And he decides to treasure hunt instead.
Any books about gold or
Because the Indiana Jones we meet in Raiders of the Lost Ark, I'm not sure he'd make that speech. He'd be like, well, that's a tough break.
right? Well, he was partly based on, to go with another Humphrey Bogart character, Fred C. Dubs from Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Roger.
And when you see him at the beginning of Raiders, he really is that character.
Hmm.
He warms up, I think, after that, but not a pleasant guy in Raiders.
Yeah.
Here's the Yahweh cameo. God just showing his distaste through the medium of wind.
I thought
And
this
then he
was
goes,
the.
then he
I
goes
thought
back
this
inside
was
the ark.
I thought that was the when I heard playing but no person there. I thought it was the instance of the ghost you referenced earlier. Maybe.
That's what. Yeah. Well, no, that's a separate ghost.
Okay.
But I think it's Yahweh from Raiders. I think
Okay.
he popped out of the ark, played a few notes, and then went back into.
There you go.
And the lid landed perfectly where it
Mhm.
came off. You started the episode here, and you're damn well going to end it here too.
Yeah. Also, I think there's something wrong with your eye.
Speaking of eyes not working, here's Old Man Indy. He's got an eye patch.
That was demonstrative. Oh,
and that's the origin of that one.
I like that.
This is where he got his first distaste.
Fools, bureaucratic fools.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Also, but it makes it hard to believe that he would trust them so much later.
Yeah. To go on the adventure in the first place. What'd you think was going to happen?
And by the time of Crystal Skull, he's like, I would say pro-bureaucrat.
Right.
Like Jim Dale and the janitor from Scrubs are his best friends in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's in with the top men.
Are the next two episodes them going back?
No, I mean, like I say, they were mostly discontinuous.
Mm.
The fact that these two came 1 week after the other was a rarity. Next one would have probably been a Corey X episode. Oh no, that frail, overweight man is going to hit me.
Yeah. Hobbling with his cane.
What a pussy. Bike chance. Suck it up.
Yep.
Stick a couple of cocktail sausages on there for balance and get moving.
Why are you putting sausages into your feet or into your socks? For ballast.
Surely that'll attract more jiggers.
So they let him go. It seems like, well, why don't they just ride back up to the river to their place? Seems like months it'll be months before the Belgians come back.
Well, no, I mean, they're basically being interred.
Oh, okay.
They're being
I see soldiers
exiled.
Now. It seemed like they were just like trusting them to leave.
It's Salah in disguise. Next time you see a U-boat, grab onto it, and it will take you all the way to Malta. You'll somehow be able to ride this thing until you get to the island.
Nobody will see you.
Except once. It'll be a triumphant moment that makes us forget that it's scientifically impossible.
Completely impossible. They show a map of that thing going hundreds of miles right after that.
And they're off to join the steamer in that CD-ROM game that someone's playing in the distance. Oh.
I wonder if James Cameron watched that and thought, you know what? I could do it better.
He's not wrong. White nun, black nun. And that some of that sensitivity towards colonialism and racism is lacking in the credits where it appears in the film itself. There's Lucy Bolting Casting Associates. There's a lineage of British cinema there. The daughter of the Bolting brothers, famous British film directors. Second unit director Ben Burt. That explains why this movie looks so good. Opening battle edited by Ben Burt. That's why that scene is the best scene in the right. So apparently the audio master has some visual chops as well. Disclaimer
Work
that
of
denies,
fiction, you say.
Disclaimer that disappears very quickly.
Yeah.
And denies the entire purpose of the movie. That it's supposed to teach children about history. And that disclaimer basically says nothing about this is true.
Attack of the Hawkmen.
Oh yes. That's what do you call it? Plane, like a World War I plane story.
Thought you were trying to remember the name of the fly things. Planes, right?
What's the Lucas movie?
Red Tails?
Yeah, there you go. I think it's like that. It's like that.
Okay.
Probably used footage or like leftover footage from that or something.
Well, right off the bat, I got a question for you.
Oh.
Is this the best movie we've watched as a watch along?
Whoa, you liked it that much?
I mean,
listen. I think Young Indiana Jones.
Keep in mind, we've watched things like The Air Bud.
You was
Treasure Buddies.
You're going to bring it back to that, haven't you? I've admitted that was us bottoming out. Okay, you don't need to keep reminding me.
But no, I guess what I'm saying is when I think of a movie like Texas Chainsaw,
yes,
and I put it up against this,
perfectly good film, yes.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure which one I enjoy watching more. I probably enjoy the other one maybe more just because of its silly nature, but this is a better made movie.
Yeah. Can I just I'll come back to what you just said, but can I just let you know what YouTube is recommending I watch next? Raiders, Empire of the Sun, Heat, Only Fools and Horses, something with Patrick Swayze, Battle of the Bulge, and Every Which Way But Lose. Anyway,
what do I got? I've got A Bridge Too Far, Meteor, Rough Riders, The Life of Indiana Jones, The Eagle Has Landed, McClintock.
I love the fact that they're racially profiling me by throwing in the British sitcom Only Fools and Horses, because largely we have the same kind of recommendations,
right?
But they're like, oh, but he's British, so let's put in a crappy old sitcom for him there. Yeah, no. So my feeling about Young Indiana Jones, and this was like, I think during COVID, maybe they were all on Paramount Plus, and so I watched from beginning to end, and I'd seen a few of them over the years. is that I thought they were like pretty decent television.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite, I understand the shortcomings and
For sure, but
but
you can't, for me, it's hard to deny the money behind it.
yeah, and I think that Lucasfilm
Sets
works with
and
enough good
location
people.
and
Yeah,
costumes. I mean, all of that is
yeah, and I think some of the episodes are very effective, and of course there is the famous the famous Young Indiana Jones TV movie where Harrison Ford is the framing narrative.
Hmm.
Where he returns. You can see I mean, you just look that bit up on YouTube. While he was filming The Fugitive, he came back and played Indiana Jones in like 92, 93.
okay.
So he has the beard. He has the fugitive beard. And he does the framing narrative, and it was the only one that they kept when they took all the old man indie stuff out.
Right.
His was
Of
obviously
course.
the only one they
Yes.
left in.
Big surprise.
Yeah, so he was somewhat involved in it. No, but I quite enjoy them, and um, like I think you just have to tune into what the show was trying to be,
Mm-hmm.
which was an educational
Yeah.
history series for historical fiction for kids. And I think once you tune into that, it's actually very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, technically pretty well put together.
Yeah.
Some of the acting's really good. There's some great character performances in there. I think there's like been it's kind of gone two ways. I think there's the kind of a backlash to it for not being Indiana Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess Crystal Skull when that comes out, and it's such a disappointment to so many people that
Except you.
they bemoan the lack of good Indiana Jones in between
Right.
that and Last Crusade. I don't know. But I think but whether it's good or bad, it depends on what you're watching it as.
I only just noticed your skull.
Oh, thank you. Kalimar. Yeah. For reference, it's the Kalimar skull, not it's the blood cocktail, not the crystal. Yeah, because I like deciding whether this is good or bad. I think depends on what you're watching it as.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is good, very good television.
I do too. Yeah.
It's like early 90s. It's got nuance, it's got complexity, it's got production values.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there with those 90s shows that really up the ante on what you could do in television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as a TV show from that period, I think I'd definitely say it's good.
But it's funny when you change the question to feature film.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't play on that level at all.
No, it does. It just it like, even I guess that this is the acid test, because this one plays better than the others because they were back-to-back episodes that were meant to run.
But even that, you know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
It doesn't hold together. It looks like two parts.
Right. So on that level, but it's that sort of television from the early 90s, and this whole book's written about this, was kind of blurring the distinctions, at least in American television, between film and TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lucasfilm was at the Amblin and Lucasfilm were at the center of that, because it's like cinema adjacent quality,
right?
But still very much television that needs to be
later. It's all the way at the end of the decade that you're going to get, the West Wings and the Sopranos and The Wire and.
Yeah, but I mean, there's lots of early 90s shows like Northern Exposure and
that's true.
NYPD Blue and there's Star Trek: The Next Generation that are changing the language of television into something which is closer to cinema. but also not quite cinema. Like it has its own rules and conventions, and I think you can see that if you try and retrofit this into a feature film, that you can definitely see the
For sure.
You know, you can definitely see the joins, like where it cuts off. And it's also like in terms of like where this stands in the Indiana Jones franchise, it's not asking to be compared to the other Indiana Jones films. That's what I kind of like about it.
Unless you have the small references, that's not enough to beg comparison. But
No, yeah, I think a lot of people would prefer this to Crystal Skull, but like it really is its own animal, and I kind of respect it for that.
I was going to say the same thing,
because it's kind of like, I guess it's just a shame that they couldn't stick to their own rules of what it was. Like, you know, they, in order to keep making them, they changed what they were supposed to be. And so there you get into difficulties.
Right.
But
and I mean, I think I mentioned it several times as we were watching, but you know, it's sort of, it feels revisionist history for the character himself, because you don't have any sense of what's happening to him leads to the man we're first introduced to.
That's a really good point, and it's the young in, like, it's because it's young Indiana Jones.
It feels like there has to be a moral code
well,
laid over
like
it.
It sounds like, you know, it sounds like it's going to be a prequel that is going to lead up to the character that we know at the beginning of Raiders, and it's absolutely not that. It's almost created in spite of what we've seen of the character and what they become.
Sure.
And I think, you know, Lucas was always upfront about that. I mean, even I think when he pitched it to the networks, he was saying, look, don't be expecting an Indiana Jones movie.
Right.
It's just a hook to get kids interested in history. So I don't think there was any pretension that this should be considered part of the canon. And that's kind of helpful when you're watching it, because you don't really want to make those comparisons.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned earlier, if you have the key to unlock how you watch this, when you're thinking about it as a teaching lesson, for, you know, to introduce and interest kids in histories. That's the way to watch it.
Yeah, no, I think so. I agree. But it's not it's not at all bad. It's just it doesn't sit well with what you want to get from an Indiana Jones property. But it was never intended to. I guess that's the point.
Right.
You have to enjoy it on its own terms. And I think there's enough of it, and it varies enough in quality over the 22 films that it ended up being, that that, you know, you can find your little niche within there. You can go, oh, I kind of like that period, or I like that stage or whatever of the story. You know, and when he goes to the University of Chicago, and suddenly it's all about blues and gangsters. Interesting.
Well, all right. Anything left? Anything else for you?
No, I don't think so. Unless you want to continue to speculate what happened to Mutt and Marion.
I'm all right.
Between now and Crystal Skull and now.
We got all the way to June. So yeah.
Probably not until the end of the year, right? We got to wait for it to come out on I was going to say home video. I'm thinking in terms of early 90s television because of what we've just done. When it becomes available to watch at home, I think that's when we'll probably
might be a good way to end our year.
Yeah, they feel like Christmas movies, even though they're
clearly not.
One is about Judaism, the other is about Hinduism.
Yeah.
Then what's the third one about? I guess the third one's pretty.
It's certainly religious.
Although the Grail isn't the Grail is
Christian.
Well, the Grail stuff was like the religious aspects of the Grail was grafted on. You know, it's like it's a story of, it's a knight story that is given religious connotations. And then Crystal Skull's about aliens, so Sorry, interdimensional beings.
Well, when you say it out loud like that, doesn't help that movie.
So I guess we've already had time travel in the Indiana Jones franchise.
True.
Because what the aliens do in Crystal Skull is a kind of a time travel. Because they come from another dimension, right?
You say so.
Yeah, it's not clear, is it?
I'm
They
gonna
live
have
in
to
the space between spaces.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it before I rewatch it. I need to. I need. I need. I need to kind of ramp myself up before
What's the purpose of that?
judging it for the purposes of our podcast.
What's the purpose of that previewing? Like, what are you gonna do during that? Are you gonna file your nails, or what do you like?
No,
what are you...
I'm gonna watch it once before having to watch it again, so that I don't. So I on that second viewing I can watch it without a grudge. Hopefully, that's the intent. Because I'm gonna watch it once wanting to hate it. Because I have not watched it.
Why would you want to hate an Indiana Jones film?
Because it's bad.
That's kind of what I don't understand about prequel hates, and I'll wrap Indiana Jones into it. Is that sort of like taking in this kind of bile? Makes it hard to see some of the good in those movies if you.
That's what I mean. I want to look for the good.
Okay. Well, that's good self-awareness that you know you're going to do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to have those conversations. Everyone's we're gonna be ahead of the game in the sense that we're gonna be behind everyone else. So everyone, by the time we get around to doing the series, everyone will have lost interest in Indiana Jones. So we'll be the only people out there talking about Indiana Jones by Christmas.
Yep.
It's gonna be. I mean, it's kind of going back to the young Indiana Jones, and I guess like the equivalent in Star Wars of the, the era where there was no Star Wars being made except for like one-off TV movies here and there and that kind of stuff,
cartoons,
video games, and the like.
Yeah,
and it's like this is the first time since 2008 there's going to be like more official Indiana Jones in the world than there has been for a long time.
Sure.
And even that was weird back in 2008 to sort of introduce a whole new element to the franchise. So it's going to be interesting.
To say the least, my friend.
I hope
I'm looking forward to it. All right. Well, I'm not going to say the title, but ladies and gentlemen, tell us what you think of this watch along.
Have a stab at it. Go on, have a stab at it.
The Adventures of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Colon.
Let me give you a hint.
Oganga.
The
Ogangas, the giver and taker of life.
Doesn't start with the. Sorry, misled you.
Yeah, damn it.
You got it.
Oganga, giver and taker of life.
There you go. There's one more that in there, but I won't hold that against you.
The giver and taker of life.
Sure.
The giver and the taker of life?
No, just the giver and taker of life.
You don't have to tell us what you think of all of that.
Yeah.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send that email to everythingsequel@gmail.com.
You watch this on YouTube, you watch that on YouTube. You can watch our other episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you never leave YouTube, in which case this is the perfect podcast for you.
There you go. Yeah, we have like 7 million views of Rambo First Blood Part 2, but only 50 downloads. YouTube to the regular podcast feed.
Interesting.
Go ahead and listen to it.
It's a good episode.
Very good.
As far as I remember.
No, I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
It's either a good episode or a good movie. One of the two.
Well, we'll be back in another couple of months with another watch along. Be
Indeed.
ready for that.
Absolutely, yes.
And in the meantime, join our Patreon. Get bonus episodes.
There's no place like it.
We're cutting off snakeheads.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, our Patreon project is to take the original and the reboot of a series we've done, and to do full-length episodes on it, which you can get access to for a low monthly donation.
Right now, you could be listening to Psycho and Psycho.
Yeah, either $5 or $10. So we're doing some of our most interesting material over there. And
I'm starting to think we should flip it. 1998 should be a $5 episode.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant we should start putting the Patreon episodes on the main feed, and then just the Patreon would just be all sequels.
That'd be great.
It's not as bad an idea as it sounds.
All right, right?
So yeah, and we've already announced, so it's no spoiler. We're about to re-embark on the 1990 single sequels.
Indeed, we are.
So, but in this a few days after this comes out, we'll be dropping our first of those episodes, which is Three Men and a Little Lady, starring Brian Pringle of The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, Oganga,
Yes.
the Giver and Taker of Life.
Man, that rolled off your tongue easy.
Yeah, but I'm, I have to saturate myself
professional.
in this. I know, but this is the thing. Like you do, the division of labor. It's part of. It makes me feel better about the division of labor if I over prepare for this. The amount that you do on the main feed.
Good times.
So yeah. So.
All right.
Plenty of great content. Free and for money.
We got it all.
I know, and then I think that's more than fair.
Agreed.
Because we're happy with what we're producing, and
more than
we deserve to get remuneration. But we're also podcasters, and we know that it's okay to give some stuff away for free.
Yeah, we know the public's lazy.
So...
Is that wrong?
I'm gonna have to. I feel like we're gonna be apologizing for this episode. We're gonna get the Belgian consulate on our asses. You said our national anthem was "Fuck the kids." We all look like ghosts.
We're gonna have to show up for our caning.
That'll be like a Simpsons episode. We're gonna, it's gonna be a.
Instead of Australia.
Was it Australia that they had apologize to? Yeah.
Eat my shorts.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Knife. I see you played Knifey Spoony before.
I started another podcast where we just rewatched The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's never been thought of.
No
one's
doing
not. No one's doing a podcast like that. If we could find, I'd happily do a Simpsons podcast if I could find an original angle.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know what that would be at this point.
Who can remember the most lines?
We only watch Simpsons episodes that have been removed from syndication. I don't know. It's basically just that episode with the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And maybe that one where they are pretty offensive about Brazil.
I don't remember.
Although the Prohibition one is banned in Britain because of its anti-Irish humor.
Sentiment.
Yeah.
All right. It's a great episode, though.
It's a great episode, yeah, and it's a bit like Temple of Doom.
You haven't even touched your banana kaboom.
It's one of those episodes that was censored in Britain when it was shown. So I had no idea the IRA were involved until over here. So it's like for years because Temple of Doom was cut in Britain. I never knew about the human heart.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
You ask a British person, and they didn't get until it went on streaming, and we all saw the same movie finally. No one in
That's
Britain knew that they
fantastic.
actually. No one. But this is the thing. Like, no one in Britain was like, it was like we weren't questioning why there wasn't a human heart being ripped out of a body. Like, we were all sort of going, yeah, they stopped at the right point. Like, as a matter of taste, they stopped. But no, it
Right.
was just cut out. It was seen as too much for us. Anyway,
That's great.
too much.
Too much.
Too much
Too
heart ripping
heart.
out bodies. Too much heart ripping out bodies.
Too much fucking heart.
Too much fucking heart. Anyway.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always. Until next time.
When two tribes go to war, it is a rule that each side pay the other compensation for each man that's killed.
Dear God.
There's some accidental Frankie Goes to Hollywood in this movie.
That's great. Oh, shit. Bye.